Good morning, folks. We are live. Welcome back. We're back at it. Monday, best day of the week. Nasdaq trying to make a little push here, kind of fizzling out now. What I look at here, we're looking at a 5-minute chart, by the way, to kick off the day. I am looking at this as quite an apparent wedge. Now, given the move of the morning thus far, until we see some kind of definitive break of the wedge, if not a pullback down beneath the 20 EMA here on the 5-minute chart, I'm not looking to get short. Right now, I'm looking for any excuse to get long with the understanding that we've got a big old flat top right there. Bull's trying to break it. There's the stops getting triggered as we speak. So let's see if we can get some kind of reasonable entry here to the long side for a scalp. If not a swing, more than likely a scalp. ATR here on the 5-minute, 17. Good morning, guys. How we doing? All right. Roy, good morning. What's up, brother? How we doing? Sedonia, Chris. Gaines, good to see you. Royal, how we doing? Giovanni Joe, what's up, brother? All right, 4 minutes out. What I think we should do here today is pop around. So let's start with, let's look at the 1. Yeah, the 1 is kind of sloppy as all hell, isn't it? Take a look at the 2. Yeah, I mean, honestly, out of the 3 charts, the 1 minute, the 2 minute, the 5 minute, the 5 looks by far the cleanest. So that's all right. We're less than 4 minutes out. We'll see what we get as far as a close out of this bar. If we do get a bare body closing near the low of, again, I'll redraw it for anyone just joining us, this wedge, I would buy the close of that bare body. We now have already attempted a break of the flat top. So far has failed, but attempting to do so does typically soften it by a little bit. I mean, you know, I gotta say, volatility is not crazy here, is it? It looked like we were gonna have a decent day off the rip. Not to say this is bad, of course. We can trade anything. HR is 17. We can absolutely work with that. We were, late last week, we were teetering on the edge of 10 on a 5-minute chart, which is absurdly low on a 5-minute chart. You guys are on a 2-minute chart where it's expected to be a little bit lower. A 10 ATR or below is getting pretty damn low. So on the 5-minute, that is ridiculous. 17 and a quarter, we can work with that. But now here, forming this little range wedge, I'd like to see this thing break. But I don't need it to take an entry here. Minute 50 out. Right now, best case scenario for me, if we can get the bears stepping in, closing this quite a bit lower, like beneath 490, I'd be thrilled. But I gotta tell you, a nice bull close as well might have me doing something. Let's see how it closes up. 90 seconds out. Javaz, good morning. How we doing? Gaines says, this morning I haven't been able to find a trade to save my life. Guess I'm becoming more selective. That is a good thing. Now, you can take that too far. I've known a few traders that have taken that too far. They have an edge, they just never take trades. Which is a problem in and of itself, because this is a game of sample size. But the sample size only looks good if you are selective with what you do take. Doesn't mean you shouldn't take, 32 trades in one day if you get them. But if you're looking back in 16 of the 32, you're like, I probably wouldn't take that again. That's a problem. You don't have to be perfect, by the way. You just don't make big mistakes. Don't move stop losses. Don't delete stop losses. Don't average in 8 times when your original plan told you to not average in at all on this trade. And then as long as, 80, 90% of your trades, you look back and you're like, yeah, I'd take that again. I think you're good. There is wiggle room, which is good news. All right, here comes the rollover of this bar. I don't know, man. The bulls are kind of a bit insecure. Let's see how this closes. Yeah. Are you guys trading the September contract or the December contract here today? We got a mixed bag. Half you were trading September, half December. All right, let's take a look at the 2 here. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm going to stick on the 5. I'm going to stick to the 5. It's definitely a little bit cleaner than the rest of the time frames, which, interestingly, you would think is always the case. It's not necessarily always the case. But when volatility is a little bit not tremendous, we'll say, the 5 is oftentimes the place to hang out. So 3.5 minutes out. If the bears can take this lower, give us a nice, decent close, I will buy it if it's near the low of the wedge. All right, we're halfway through this 5-minute bar. Come on, Bears, hold that up. That's starting to look pretty damn good. Okay, so this next rollover coming up, by the way, we're a minute 45 out. It's going to be a triple rollover. Sometimes I'll just call it a dual rollover. That's the 5-minute, the 2-minute, and then, of course, the 1-minute rolling over all at the same time. 90 seconds out here. If the Bears can keep this lower, close it, I'd say ideally beneath 490. But even in the low 490s, that puts me within reason to punch that baby to the long side. Let's see what we get. All right, we're about 20 seconds out here. The bears look like they're going to do it for us. We are looking at a 5-minute chart, and if the bears can close us in the low end of this existing wedge, I will get the copy trader engaged. Let's see if we can just use a limit buy here to just get long. Looking to do nothing but get long right now, and that is a very reasonable place to do so. So I will suck risk up, risk this very obvious curl, which also happens to be beneath the 20 EMA here on the 5. I'll take that. Not incredibly meaningful to me, but I will take it. And we are sitting long. ATR 16 here on the 5-minute. Let's see what we get. Come on, Bulls. Take it back up into the wedge. There you go. I would be happiest on this trade if I could get a full ATR. So let's see how ATR looks. I don't imagine it'll change too much throughout the duration of the trade, but currently sitting about 16. So if we could get, 15, 16 points, I'd be thrilled. There you go, Bulls. Take it back up into the wedge. Let's give it a little test of those highs. There we go, Bulls. Keep that moving. ATR 17. Keep that pushing, Bulls. Keep that pushing. Good, good. Little extra. I want that full ATR. ATR 17-ish. Good work, Bulls. Keep that moving. Coming right into that little high here. There is room to get a full ATR. Just barely. All right, Bulls. One more attempt at that little high of that previous bar. All right, we gotta let those buyers reload. See if they can take another run at it. Here we go, another run at it. Let's go. All right, we've got 40 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. Yeah, I mean about 16 and a half, 17 points. Yeah, like 16 and a half to 17 and a half-ish points. That's about a full ATR is right the high of the previous bar. So I want to see a more legitimate test of that. See if the buyers can reload and give us one more run. All right, bit of a wick back close there out of the bulls. Well, not a tremendous close, but clearly no decision to be made, at least for me. So far at best here, we've been 15 points on the dot in the money. That is not my full ATR, damn it. I need at least 16, 17 points. Well, ATR now 16 and a quarter. All right, Bulls, take a bit of a harder run at it. Well, I gotta be patient here. You know, a lot of people will say, well, why don't you take it off, man? Take it off a few points early. Well, what the hell's a few points early? Where do you draw that line? If you keep drawing that line, or I guess if you keep pushing that line that you arbitrarily draw based on no data whatsoever, you end up taking profits at 2 ticks. And we all know you're going to get eaten up by commission at that point. And you're not going to have an edge. So I will stay disciplined, thank you. And get my full ATR is what I'm after. All right, sitting pretty much break even here on the trade. Bear's trying to break it out. Yeah. This is a wedge. This is a trader range. I don't buy it yet, Bears. And if you do, my protective stop is out. I don't think so. All right, Bulls, don't let that happen now. Bears trying to come in for a test to the 20 EMA on the 5. Now, again, at best on this trade, we've been 15 points in the money on the dot to meet my full target, which is 1 ATR. I needed at least 16, if not 17 points. So let's see if these Bulls can step in, turn it around, and give us at least a 16-point push back up into that wedge, which there's plenty of room. There is plenty of room. Our signal bar here was what, maybe 19 points tall? So, let's see if it works for us. All right, ATR is still hanging out at 16 here on the 5-minute. But we've had so many inside bars with inside movement that it feels slow. The bar that I bought, right, completely inside with a little bit of an exception, completely inside on the following bar. This bar trying to break out. Let's see if they can. We have 90 seconds left on this bar. We do have the 20 EMA there, so that does mess a little bit with my bar-by-bar, well, it doesn't mess with it. It just changes the rules a little bit on bar-by-bar management. So, let's see here. This trade taking its time. We're about, what, 14 minutes in at this point? back to break even on the trade. All right, Bulls, give us that push we're after. This is still a trading range. I just don't buy it yet, Bears, so we'll stay in the trade here. See if we can get a push, at least one ATR. ATR is now down to about 15 and a quarter. While in the trade, by the way, I don't like to... Things start to get a little bit weird if a trade takes a while, and let's say ATR at the time of entry was 16. If I'm still sitting in the trade and ATR has absolutely collapsed to like 6, which is not going to happen that often, but if it did, it gets a little difficult to make a decision. Usually, I'll just take it on I'll take it off on a moving ATR, and if it moves a lot, I'll make a note of that with the understanding that the risk profile to what I actually, at least early in the trade, compared to what I ended up getting at the end of it, was kind of inverted because we saw a volatility collapse. And that starts to become a situation where you think, okay, well, let me look at the trade itself. Was there anything I could have done there? Right, meaning to avoid a trade duration that ended up being far longer than I would have liked. Now, sometimes, no, there's nothing you can do. You make a note of it in your data and you move on. This is not quite that yet. The ATR is holding up 15 and a half. See if we can get a decent little push. Again, looking to get at least a full ATR. We've been at least, well, on one occasion, we were within, maybe 2 occasions, 1 point of take profit. Can't just pull it because you want to. As much as a lot of you do it, I'm sure. Don't do it. There you go, Bulls. Keep that moving. ATR 16. All right, Bulls. Little more here. ATR 16. Oh, Bulls, come on now. Give us a little more backbone. Hovering right around 24.5. Which, is it an area of interest? Sure. Am I infatuated with it in any way? Nah, not really. All right, ATR about 16. Bulls getting whack-a-mole here, man. We're getting within 1, 2, 3 points of being able to pull it. And then getting shot down. Got to give them another shot. See if they can get it done. All right, Bulls, a little more backbone here on this push. Let's go. Get us at least a full ATR. ATR is coming down to 15 and a quarter. Oh, you bulls. I don't want to call them weak because they've been keeping us in the money for a good chunk of this trade. They're just not getting it done. They gotta finish. All right, Bulls, one more good little push here. Little extra this time. ATR 15 and a half. Oh, come on, you bulls. Just gotta see a bit of a better backfill with this bigger wedge. Not convinced out of the bears, but these bulls aren't backfilling it as much as I'd like. This trade, almost, well, 25 minutes ago at this point, had us pretty damn deep in the money very, very quickly. It worked very fast. But the close of this bar, right? As this bar closed into the rollover open of this bar, Bought with a limit buy. Put us in the money quickly. Just not enough. Just not enough. I structured it the way that I did for a reason, and damn it, we're going to stick to that. I need one ATR. ATR is falling, now beneath 15. Let's see if we can get at least 14.5, 15 points, at least as the ATR stands right now. Got to see these bulls have a little bit of backbone. All right, bulls coming on into 24.5. There we go. Don't mind seeing that. ATR 15. All right, here's a test through 24.5. Again, we've been seeing this a lot already here today. Not concerned with the level in and of itself, but when we're scalping the way we are, we just got to be aware that it is there. All right, ATR 15. Little more bulls. Just a little more backbone than the last 2 or 3 attempts here. Oh, man. Gotta be patient. Come on, bulls, pop it through. Boom. There we go. Full ATR. We got it. The patience pays off. Good. Good. Scalp took a little longer than you prefer. When you're scalping, you're always looking for things to work as quickly as possible. You gotta be patient when it comes to it. All right, let's move on. Let's move on here. 20 seconds out. All right, well, I'll tell you what I'm looking at here. Hey, for those of you guys just joining us, we're looking at, this is NQ, futures, of course. I am trading prop, take profit trader, and Apex. And right now, honestly, I would probably move this up and just draw that as a flat. We're still in the wedge, which was the entire bet on the first trade. So, which I need to update, by the way. There we go. Let's see if the bulls can actually break us out of this wedge and hold it. You gotta imagine it's probably gonna take some doing here out of the bulls. For me to even be slightly convinced, I'd need to see a strong close above 514 on a strong bull body. All right, we got about 3 minutes, 40 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. Not looking too bad so far. All right, minute 50 out here. Let's see how we close up on this 5-minute bar. All right, I'm running an over-under poll here in the chat. I want to know what you guys think about this, because 24-5 is being kind of a motherfucker. We got to look at this. What do you guys think? 1 p.m. Eastern. Is NQ over or under 24-5? This will get some sparks flying. I don't know, man. Oh, I'm sorry, Niles. I'm on the December contract. I just roll over right away. I think people overthink the rollover. Like, just, if the volume's good, just update it so you don't forget to do it later. But sometimes the volume isn't good. But it's fine here today. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, guys, if the price is different, here, let me show you something. This is the September contract. Okay? That's what you guys are looking at if you're trading September. I am trading December. So it's rollover week, right? So I just roll over right away if volume's good enough, which it is. So I'll rock here on December. And we've got 4 minutes left. All right, guys, 90 seconds out. Let's see how the Bulls close this up. Let's see. I mean, we're clearly still looking at a wedge. Clearly. That wedge has been developing for damn near 2 hours. At least an hour 45. So let's see how the Bulls close this up. Minute 15 out. All right, good close there out of the Bulls. I'm going to need to watch one more bar because I got to tell you, when we see that kind of thing, I am not convinced that we're just instantly breaking out of this wedge. This wedge has been developing for an hour and 50 minutes. But if we get one more bull body that closes near its high, all of a sudden I'm convinced that I'm putting out a stop limit buy above, risking the signal bar. Very simple decision for me to make. 4 minutes, 30 seconds out. Let's see how the bulls close this up. Or the bears, if they flip this back downside back into the channel. Let's see. All right, guys, quick break. I'll be back in a couple minutes. We're taking more trades. One is nothing. We got a lot of work to do. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. We are 4 minutes out on this 5-minute bar. You know, honestly, if we could see a nice bare body closing near the low of the bar itself, but inside of the 20 EMA here on the 5, just because it's there and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, if we had a bare body closing here, I would punch that long all day. So we will find out here in less than 4 minutes. Let's see what we get. By the way, we do have Trump speaking here in about 2 hours. 2 o'clock Eastern. All right, we're about halfway through this 5-minute bar. Bull's trying to wick this back higher. I mean, ultimately, what am I looking at? I think everybody right now is pretty much looking at the same thing, right? It's plenty wide to trade. We're looking at about 30, 35 points wide. It's just, if I can help it, I would prefer to get long rather than looking to go short. Just because you look at the overarching trend on the day, and this thing is just slow grind higher. Those slow grinds, man, those are the worst to step. I mean, I guess aside from it, just a very aggressive trend in one direction, the slow grinds are the most frustrating thing to step ahead of. And I think they probably hurt your psychology more than if you end up just stepping in front of a hard trend. Because at least then you can admit that you were wrong quickly and say, yeah, well, I'm probably not going to do that again. With a slow grind, it takes its time to rip your face off, which sucks. There's the opportunity cost of the whole day then, because you end up sitting in the trade against the grind all day. And then your psychology slowly goes down the drain. I think it's just not worth doing if you can help it. So I want to try to get long. I'm right now looking for any reason to do so, and that will remain the case until we see, at least in this case, if we saw a break beneath this wick with a nice clean close, all of a sudden I'm thinking opposite. Right now, it's any excuse for me to get long. And right now the bulls aren't really giving it to me. Pursuit. There can also be many signals of potential reversal, popping through highs and wicking back down just to grind back up. Yeah, I mean, okay, look. If you wanted to get short in a move like this, if you're like, okay, I want to get short, how do I do it? There's a lot of ways you could do it. You could buy this bull close. I'm sorry, you could sell this bull close if you wanted to. We are in the top third of the range. It's just, I'm not into it. I don't want to step ahead of that grindy move. And, you know, maybe you could say, well, I'd put a stop limit sellout beneath a bar like this. You wouldn't have gotten filled in this case, right? If you put it one tick beneath the wick low. You know, you're kind of in the middle of the range. Algorithm and degenerate territory. But you certainly could, is the point. Now, I just think it's the harder way to trade this. It takes more patience to try to look to get long, right? Because, you know, you're cutting out half of potential setups. But I think it's worth waiting for. trying to get short on a move like this is, in my experience, is one of the quickest ways to, well, I guess quickly, but also slowly ruin your psychology as the grind goes against you. Because it makes it really hard to figure out how to manage the trade. Not to mention, if you're getting short ahead of a move like this, explain to me this. How do you plan on managing your risk? It's going to have to be either bar by bar, which is dangerous if you get a news pop. What happens if you get a bar that shoots up 80 points? What are you going to do on it while it's happening, honestly? So let's say you have a protective stop out. Where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? We're at highs. The only answer is either getting short on maybe a close like this, risking the curl. That would be the smart way to do it if you wanted to get short. But if you're getting short right around the high, it's going to be an arbitrary stop loss, which is okay. But against a slow grind like this, it's making a really big ask out of the market. And for me, there's no edge there. None. Negative expected value. So 3 minutes out here. Come on, Bears. Take this thing lower. Give us a reason to get long. And I guess bulls, if they can break us out of this range, I'd also be looking to buy the high. Yes, I would put a stop limit buyout and be the sucker that buys the absolute high. I would be willing to do it, but I would need half decent confirmation out of the bulls that they're feeling confident about that break. All right, minute 45 out. All right, how's our poll doing? What do you guys think? I haven't checked in on it in a little while. The over-under, 24,500 on, well, this is the December NQ. At 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, my question here is, I did explain this when I put the poll out, but are some of you guys voting based on the September contract? Which would mess with the data. It's 56% under. And it makes me wonder if because the September contract is obviously a few hundred points lower. So 24.5 looks a lot different. If you need to make an adjustment after you just heard me say that, please do so. Let's get some half reasonable data going here in the poll. What do you guys think? Over, under? We're 30 points over currently. All right, we're going to end that one. That one's a little too confusing, I think, on rollover week. New poll here. How we doing so far today? Green or red? I know on a grindy day like this, man, a lot of you guys got to be deep both ways. Because if you were betting on a range early, oh man, if you held on, you're probably bleeding pretty bad right now. But if you're somebody who recognizes that and starts saying, okay, I'm looking for any reason to get long, you're probably sitting pretty well right now. If you're not seeing things properly, at least, let's say you take 2 or 3 or 4 trades. I've done this plenty of times on live. And let's say you keep betting on breakouts and it keeps fading right back into the range. It's time to take a step back and say, I'm not seeing something properly. Which I gotta say is one of the hardest things. Because you're looking at it, you're like, no, I mean, this makes sense. That setup made a lot of sense. Those 4 setups made a lot of sense. Look at them in 2 weeks. Do they still make a lot of sense? If they do, then you just got unlucky with the weighted coin flip landing against you 3-4 times in a row. But a lot of times you'll look back and say, shit, that was a range and I was trading it like a trend. Yeah, Bo, you know, in little ranges like this, you cannot ignore context of the day. I mean, you just can't. We're a minute 40 out, by the way. Context of the day is everything. So what is the context of the day? Well, I mean, the Bulls are clearly in control. The Bears are trying. They're not just letting the Bulls do whatever they want, but the Bulls are clearly in control. All right, we're getting a new 5-minute bar here in 23 seconds. All right, Bears. Let's take this down into the low end of this little range here so we can take trade number 2 of the day. Yeah, so Bo's talking about in a move like this, like trying to avoid, or getting to the point, I suppose, of avoiding getting short in a move like this, or if vice versa, trying to get long. And instead, Trying to get long near the low end of the range. Now, yes, Bo, that's a very good point. A lot of what I think about when I'm looking at a setup is not, do I think it can work? Obviously, that's a part of the equation here. Do I think that the probabilities are in my favor? But it's not just that. You have to look at reward to risk, throw them together, stir it up, and say, does this equal what I expect to believe within reason, a positive expected value? And if the answer is yes, you put the trade on. But there's a third aspect to this, and it's, can I manage my risk within reason? Just because you could get short on a bull close at high of day, or at the highs in general, just because you could doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to do so. Now, I don't mean like literally easy, like you put the order out, get filled, you're short. What I mean is, how the hell are you going to manage risk? There's nowhere to go off of. We're at all-time highs. So are you going to manage risk based on an arbitrary number? Okay, what is that number? Is it an ATR? Not to mention you are shorting in the face of momentum to the upside. The bull's at an all-time high confidence. So it gets tough. Now, if you are going to get short on a close like this, obviously you just risk that curl. That's pretty damn tight, but you could do it. It's just so much easier if the bears take it down here. Like this was the first trade we took of the day. Bears closed that. I bought that rollover. Put us in the money very fast, not quite enough. Hovered around a little bit, gave us a push. We were able to take profit. But how do we manage risk? Well, right here. It becomes very simple to do so. You just risk the curl. Same thing. If we get another bear push, close like right here, I buy the rollover, risk the curl. It's very easy. It's second nature. When you're shorting the all-time high, or even just the high of day, or you're buying the low of day, even if you can somehow make sense, which is a whole nother conversation, even if you can somehow make sense of doing so, how are you going to manage risk? Now, I'm at least talking on a 5-minute intraday chart. Now, if you're trading a daily, things change a little bit. You could use a curl from 3 weeks ago. But on an intraday 5-minute, that's a big question I'm always asking myself. Can I manage risk on the trade within reason? And does that risk management allow me to structure the trade to make what I think is mathematical sense, which includes, by the way, the ATR, that red number at the bottom of your screen. That's the average range here of a 5-minute bar. If the most obvious curl is 62 points away and ATR is 12, I'm not going to risk the 62 point away obvious curl and look to make a half to a whole ATR on a scalp. That does not make mathematical sense. At least for me. Maybe for you it does, but probably not. I think the more you look at this, the more trades you put on, the easier it gets. Gains. So when going long, do you use the ATR with all-time highs? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but no, I use a curl. I manage my risk using a curl, which means the entry has to make sense with the curl I'm using to manage my risk. And if it's too far away, then the whole trade doesn't make sense. So I need the bears to pull this in quite a bit deeper so that I can structure something that does make logical and mathematical sense. And then I take profit based on ATR. Depends on the setup, depends how much I'm risking, anywhere between a half to a whole ATR, usually. ATR on the 5-minute now dipping to 13, getting pretty damn low. Alright, bears, I'm liking the way this is looking. right. We're a little over 3 minutes out. Bears pulling this baby in, starting to look better and better here for trade number 2. Let's see if we can get something. Yeah, right now I'm looking for any reason to get long. Any reason to get long, but that any reason I'm very particular about. I would like to see a nice low close out of the Bears. You know, that's the 20 EMA on the 5. It's starting to creep up toward the top of the lower third of this overarching range. But with a move like this, you know, I can't help that. I'm looking for any reason to get long until, well, I suppose for me, until the shorts, I'm sorry, the Bears are able to break it down beneath like this wick. Then I'd be looking to trade the curl back toward maybe the open. But until that happens, man, I can't. I'm really not interested in taking anything to the short side. Come on, Bears, take that thing lower. All right, 15 seconds out. Bears are doing it. I'm going to have to get the copy trader engaged. Let's see if the Bears can take this a bit lower and close this up. I'd love to see him close this in the mid-5s, meaning beneath 510. Yeah, I'm going to have to wait for the next bar here. Not quite low enough. Why is that not quite low enough? Well, I want to use this to manage my risk, and that's a bit far. That's a bit far for the profit we have at play. ATR is 13. It's pretty tight. So nothing I can do about that. We'll give it one more bar here and see how we close up. %62% of you guys are sitting green here so far today. Very good to see. I gotta tell you, theoretically, that number, if we include commissions, should be about 52% red, 48% green. all things considered, if we had a massive sample size of a bunch of random traders. Okay. Now we're at 6 now. We have to understand, maybe, hey, maybe are some of you guys not answering just because you're red? But I know you guys aren't doing that because you're here, so you're just going to say it straight up because who the fuck cares? But it's 64% green, which means, I don't know, man, maybe there's something about the group that we have around here. Maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Everything's data. All right, we're about halfway through this 5-minute bar. Good little bull push here. You know, this makes you start to think, is this wedge tightening down? I'm not going to trade based on that, but the 20 EMA here on the 5 is there. And honestly, it starts to get kind of messy. That's actually a little bit better. Because the lower third starts to get kind of chopped up by that 20 EMA being there, and it starts to maybe suck things in, force you to kind of move that line up. Now, first of all, the lines, I'm just drawing them because I think that's probably what the average of most people and algorithms are going to be seeing. And the average is what I care about the most. Everybody's going to draw it a little bit different. Every algorithm might draw it a little bit different, maybe use a different touch point, a little higher, a little lower, whatever, different wick. Don't overthink it. Just draw the average. I think you'll end up with a better line than if you sit there and think about it for 10 minutes. "30 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar." Yeah, I mean, I could short it. I'm not going to, but I could. I could. It's so tough to do it, though, because we're dealing with such a slow, grindy push higher. The only way to manage risk is here. And I think that's just asking to get stopped. Well, okay, so we are trading the December NQ contract. Let's take a look at September. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't see any reason to stick to September over December. So we'll stick here. Rolling over right away. Again, this is the December 25 NQ contract. Futures contract that we're trading. All right, Bears, come on now. Let's do it to them a little bit. Get us deeper in the low end of this little trading range. And give us any excuse to get long. All right, less than a minute out here from the close of this 5-minute bar. And we're currently looking at an inside bar. Got to see the Bears do something for us here. Take this thing lower. If we can get a dip close beneath, honestly, beneath the 20 EMA would be tremendous. You know what's crazy, though, about the whole day here? We have not seen a single tick, at least on the December contract here. We have not seen a single tick all day beneath the 20 EMA here on the 5-minute. We tested it here to the tick. Now, for me, that doesn't mean anything as far as I'm going to take a trade on that. It's just worth noting that if we do get a dip beneath there, especially a close beneath there, that would be the first of the day. So you got to think, what does that mean for bear psychology? Well, you know, it's not the end of the world for the Bulls, but it means something, you know, to the Bears. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's all it is. I draw the line right there. It's nothing more, nothing less. We got to think about that if it comes. All right, newer 5-minute bar here. That last one closed up essentially as a doji. No, Randy, you can choose whichever you'd like. September or December. It's rollover week. I'm on December. All right, Bears, take this baby lower. All right, about 2 minutes out here. Come on, Bears. Let's see some kind of volatility influx. ATR 13.7 here on the 5. What are we looking at on the 2? ATR on the 2-minute chart is below 8, 7.9. That's low. That's low. On the 2-minute chart, if ATR starts dipping below 10, things are really slow. On the 5-minute, I'd say probably 15 is kind of that equivalent. All right. I'm going to top up. Be back in 90 seconds. All right, welcome back. 4 minutes out, 4 minutes, 15 seconds. 20 EMA here on the 5 minutes at 5:12. Again, I would love to see it close down here. You know, honestly, it starts to get a little bit bizarre because we're now looking at arguably this kind of look, which we do need to consider. Though, you guys know it, I prefer, if possible, to stick with the older look. Kind of the bigger overarching look until it's outdated. And that look is this. So let's see how this bar closes up here. 3 minutes. What do you guys think? Is this going to break to the downside? Is this going to break to the downside or maintain the range? %61% of you so far sitting green on the day in the poll in the chat. Love to see it. That's a pretty big majority, honestly. All right, 2 minutes left on this 5-minute bar. Let's see how the Bears close this up, man. If they can close this lower, I might have something to do. Depends how much lower. minute 15 out. Come on, Bears, take this baby lower. Give us some kind of reasonable entry here. Again, I'm looking for any excuse to get long with the understanding that we may just be entering a sideways trading range at this point. But even so, a nice entry down in this region would put me long either at the low of this wedge or near the low of this ascending channel, kind of the same thing, or the low of the sideways trading range, which I'd like that position in all 2 to 3 cases. But we just need the Bears to get it done. 38 seconds out. Nothing there. Inside close. You see this? That bear body closed inside of the previous bar's wick low, which means next bar for us. Let's take a look at the 2 minute. What do you guys think? Yeah, ATR here on the 2, 7.5. When this is below 10, again, that's the average range of a 2 minute bar. When that's below 10, you know volatility is pretty tight. Again, on the 5 minute, it kind of depends. I'd probably call the equivalent to 10 on the 2 on the 5 minute chart as 15 or so. And we are under that. We're at about 13. Doesn't mean we can't do anything, by the way. It just means, even as scalpers, you got to give a trade a little bit of time. Your average duration might go up on a day like this. That's okay. As long as you're not sitting in a trade for, 5 hours. Unless that's your intention. If you're an intraday swing trader, have at it. But son of a bitch, let's see if the Bears can take this thing a little lower and give us something to do. Because without a half-decent setup, not even half-decent, without a B or higher setup for me, there's nothing I can do here. We're going to get it. Three minutes left here on this 5 minute bar. All right, Bears. See him getting hung up kind of on this 20 EMA. Now, again, if they break beneath there and close, I wouldn't be against getting long, but I got to understand that's the first 5 minute close, even test, if we were to get that beneath the 20 EMA all day since the open. So let's see if the Bears can get that done, because that might give them a little bit of more confidence than they previously had. It's got to be considered. Two minutes, 10 seconds. There you go, Bears, getting something done here. This is looking half decent, but you got to understand that when you're looking at a setup like this, man, the Bears might have a little... Well, let's see if they can even close it beneath there, but assuming they can, I don't know. It's a little more confidence than they previously had. Even in the face of that, I would still have to slap that to the long side. If the Bears can close us near the low of this current bar. Within reason. I wouldn't want to see it dump off, obviously, and close well outside of that trading range, because then that just creates confusion, and I don't want to be positioned into that. We've got 60 seconds to clean this baby up. Let's see if the Bears can get it done for us. All right, 15 seconds out. Copy trader, engaged. 10 seconds. Come on, Bears. Give us a nice low close near the wick low. Oh, Bears. The no backbone Bears strike again, man. There's nothing I can do on that bar. We'll go next bar here. We will go next bar. 5 minutes out, and we will pop around to the 2 minute, maybe the 1 minute, and see what's up over there. All right, here's the 1 minute chart. Man, look at the wicks on that thing. ATR on the 1 minute, it's about 5. 2 minute chart, ATR about 7 3/4. Looking a little better than the 1. But as far as setups, the 5 is the best bet right now. All right, 4 minutes out. Let's see what we get here. One trade so far on the day. Good trade. But definitely a bit of a lighter day as far as trade volume here. By the way, guys, Take Profit Trader is a hell of a deal. 40% off, and you do not pay an activation fee if you use code BIG. B-I-G, baby. Go hit it, man. Take Profit Trader. Again, a lot of you guys ask, you know, which one's best? My two favorites right now are Take Profit Trader and Apex. If that ever changes, I will come out immediately and say it. Right now, that's the reality. Why? I think Take Profit Trader is probably the best if you're trying to bootstrap going full time, because they do the daily payouts, because there's not really a lot of rules. They let you scalp. You just can't trade news. Obviously, the trailing drawdown, all that kind of stuff is still in play. But there's no like reward to risk rules, nothing like that. And you get daily payouts. So you need money coming in quickly. Life is expensive. And Take Profit Trader is, I think, your best shot at getting that done. Now, when it's time to make the numbers go bigger, right, when it's time to scale, nobody competes with Apex. It's just the way it is. They let you go to 20 accounts, and the payouts are obviously, you know, you can get those payouts to being bigger than Take Profit Trader. Most likely. Not necessarily, but most likely. Because you can have 4 times as many accounts. You know, Take Profit lets you have 5 accounts. Apex lets you have 20. Which is kind of a different ballgame. So, I think you got to use both. But which one do you hit first? Think about that strategically, I think. But they both have good deals right now, both with code BIG. All right, Bears. Less than 2 minutes out. Minute 20. What do you guys think? Are we going to break? I don't know. I don't know. This starts to look tough. I mean, look, inside of this bigger wedge, this is the scenario. We've talked about this scenario so many times here now. Just in general, but you start getting this kind of scenario, you can almost even draw this as maybe a small little descending channel inside of the overarching bull channel. It's a soft grind bull channel, but it's a bull channel nonetheless. 45 seconds. Let's see. To the bears trying to take it lower, bulls immediately step back in and say, hold on now. Hold on now, this is a channel. But the bears, man, they tried to break that. By the way, this here, that right there on the last 5-minute bar was the first wick at all. The first tick beneath the 20 EMA on the 5 all day. All day. And this bar here, that's going to be the first close beneath the 20 EMA on the 5 all day. Now, we're getting this rollover. And, you know, you could draw this line like this. You could draw it like this. But this rollover, in a lot of cases, at least half the cases, puts you beneath the line. And sometimes, if enough people have it drawn, which I think this one's so obvious that a lot of people are going to have it drawn, sometimes that can cause problems. And with the 20 EMA right there as well, with the first close beneath it on the day, discretionary call, I'm not going to buy that bar. Obviously, I didn't. That's why I didn't. Need one more bar here, and I got to tell you, I'm not against going short if the bears can put something reasonable together, but it has to be damn reasonable. It cannot be a small little bear body. It has to be definitive. And just for the hell of it, we are going to get rid of that wedge, that channel. We know it's there, but I want a fresh set of eyes looking at this candle 3 minutes out. To the bulls back testing that 20 EMA. That's the kind of trouble. I mean, look, the more charts you watch, and this isn't to say that we can't push through and make them move higher. I'm not saying we can't do that. It's just like buying this last bar here. Again, I didn't do it for a number of reasons. This is one of them. This happens a lot, and the more charts you watch, the more little nuanced things like this you pick up on. I don't want trouble 3 points in the money. I want to be in the money as deep as possible, as quickly as possible, within reason, of course, based on what the volatility currently is doing. The ATR, red number at the bottom of your screen that says 13.16. That's the average range in points currently on a 5-minute chart per bar. 3-4 points into the trade, man, to have a reasonable expectation of having some trouble, I'm not into it. We got a lot of you on opposite sides, huh? Quick, right now, do you guys think we're breaking lower? Don't wait for more info, man. I want an on-the-fly decision. Now, we know none of this is definitive enough to really take a trade on at this very moment, but I'm just curious, what's the gut feel? Oh, we're punching lower, pretty much every one of you. Not a single bounce yet. That's dangerous, man. When everyone thinks we're breaking lower, I don't know. I don't know. The Bears have quite a bit of convincing for me yet here to do. Oh, looks like a lot of you guys are getting burned because you're betting against the range. We've all done it. But hey, you know, with this kind of deal, you really have to stay open-minded because a lot of times what you end up with, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but a lot of times what you end up with is kind of you get this slow grind. And you guys have seen me today. I will not bet against this until it's clear I need to do so. But then at some point, in hindsight, you look back and it's like, oh yeah, it turned into kind of a peak, flat top, and then it entered this descending sort of wedge, and then broke back down, heading back toward the 50% retracement point, if not the low or the open. Now, still, I cannot sit here and say that the slow bull grind is not going to continue all day because we just don't have enough evidence that it's not going to yet. But the minute we do, I'm willing to take a bet to the short side. That's just not yet, though. Gotta stay patient. Gotta stay patient. Roy, I think we're going to go up, test the high of day, all-time high, and then break downside. Well, let's see here. Can the bulls test that 533, 534 region? Minute 35 left here on this 5-minute bar. Let's see how the bulls close it up. If they can even maintain it as a bull body, let's see. All right. 23 seconds left here on this 5 minute. This, by the way, is a dual rollover, but really a triple rollover. 5 minute, 2 minute, and of course the 1 minute are going to be rolling over all at the same time here in 12 seconds from now. And right now what we have is a big old wick. That is an insecure close out of the bulls. That is quite the insecure close there out of the bulls. Sucking back in. Bears wicking it back to the 20 EMA here on the 5. All right, green or red poll is over. 62% of you guys sitting green. I'm proud of that number, man. Good work. Good work. That is a healthy majority of you guys sitting green. And you know what? On slow, grindy movement like this, it's very easy for that to be flipped. 62% red, but you guys are sitting green. Good work. And you know what? If you're red, don't judge yourself on the P&L. Judge your performance on your decision making. Did you break rules? Did you follow the plan? If you broke rules and you're red, you should feel like shit about that. You should feel really bad about that. The same way you should feel bad if you're green, but you know you broke a bunch of rules. Because that is not sustainable. Not the way to do this. But if you're red and you followed the plan to a T, you did not move stops, you took the losses to the chin, moved on, you should feel good about that, regardless of P&L. $4.12 P&L, read it and weep. Damn straight, baby. Tyson says I was green until I took a dumb trade on GC. You know what? Log the trade, make a note, and move on. Move on. It's over. It's over. Just don't make the same try, not to make the same mistake twice, at least knowingly. You are going to make the same mistake many times, but it's going to look a little different. That's what makes trading so interesting, is that every little entry is a little nuanced. In hindsight, you might say that was the same mistake I made before. But when you're looking at a setup and in your head, you're like, I've done this before. That was a mistake. I need to avoid that. And you still take the trade. That's making the same mistake twice, knowingly. But if you put on a trade, you're like, this is a new look. I like this setup. This one is representative of this setup that works well for me. And you take it, and then you look back in hindsight, you're like, damn it, I'm betting against a range again. I did that last week. I told myself don't do that again. It was a different look. So now you've learned another version of the same lesson. That's okay. That's okay. You didn't know it in the moment, but now you've learned, again, another version of the same lesson. That's very important. You're going to learn 100 versions of the same lesson. And by the way, you can take a whole bunch of good trades that just don't work. That's very okay. That needs to happen. That's part of this game. Just because you lost doesn't mean it was a fucking mistake. So keep your head on right. Tom? That's right. In my opinion, some of the trades I am most proud of were actually losing trades because I stuck to the plan. That should be the way it is. That should be the way it is. When you take a loser and you cut it, and you know that it kind of hurt to slice yourself up like that, but you cut it with your head held high, you should feel very proud about that. Because that's part of this game, being able to slice it when it hurts the most. Without a second thought. All right, inside close there on that 5-minute bar. All right, guys, I'll tell you what. I guess we're one and done here today. $2,900. So I will see what the afternoon brings, but for now, I gotta go hit lunch, and I think you guys ought to do the same until we see a more definitive break, whether it's upside, downside. If we return to a slow grind, the afternoon might bring some good action here, but for now, we are sideways with an ATR on the 5-minute chart of 12. All right, guys. All right, hey, Apex is currently 80% off, and you can pass in a single day. You don't have to, but you can. You can pass in one day and be funded tomorrow at Apex with code BIG. Take Profit Trader, 40% off, and you will not pay an activation fee, which is over $100. So you get 40% off the rip and no activation fee when you pass if you use code BIG over at Take Profit Trader. All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. I will see you tomorrow morning for hopefully a little more action, but we got one good trade so far here today. I'm happy with it. Off to lunch. Subscribe to the channel. Be patient. Let it come to you. And when it does, man, if it's clean and you can manage your risk, you gotta fucking hit it. See you in the morning. Have a good afternoon.